There are ways that you can muster political will. Okay, so false flag operations are one way, right? So go back to World War II, right? What dragged America into World War II? Pearl Harbor. Before Pearl Harbor, most Americans were dead set against intervening in the wars in Europe and in Asia. But Pearl Harbor changed all that. It's possible that as this war drags on and more Americans die, then there'll be a surge of patriotism, and more Americans will volunteer to fight this war. It's also possible that as the economy gets worse and worse, as people lose their jobs, as the stock market falters, and people feel a deep sense of anxiety and desperation, they believe that it's important to maintain the empire. Okay, so these are all possibilities, but you will have to make the transition in order to sustain this war. And right now, we're not really sure if America is willing to make the sacrifices necessary. Okay, so that's one big question, political will. And you will need this in order to fight total war. Okay, so that's the first problem. Second problem is manufacturing capacity, right? So again, the issue is that these past 20 years, especially with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the coming of the unipolar moment, America has financialized, meaning that America is the world's hegemon. And so everyone wants to invest in America because they believe it's the safest and best place to invest. And so you have all this money coming from the Middle East, from Japan, from China, from Russia, from Europe. And so Wall Street takes this money and then recycles it into the American economy and creates all these risky financial assets called derivatives in order to recycle all this excess capital, all this liquidity. This is what led to the 2008 subprime crisis, when Wall Street thought that it was invincible, it was too big to fail. It started to engage in all the sort of like risky behavior, and it collapsed the global economy. And it was only quantitative easing, the intervention of the Federal Reserve, that saved Wall Street as well as the American economy. But the problem with 2008 is nothing changed, right? I think that only one mid-level executive was put in prison. And in fact, there were many executives who got bonuses after they collapsed the economy. So we are still in a period in America where there's massive financialization, where it seems as though the entire economy is a Ponzi scheme. And so there are two major bubbles right now. There's the AI data center bubble, which is, these companies, 7 of them, spending trillions of dollars and building these data centers, creating a product that no one actually needs or wants, right? That's the first problem. Second is the private credit bubble, which is very similar to 2008 great financial crisis.